Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? God, of course they put a commercial in the middle of the thing. They always do this. It's one of the long ones too.
You! Yes, you! Watching this commercial right now. Do you know anything about freshwater biomes? Do you know anything about freshwater biomes around you? Nothing? Everything?
I think I can help with that.
Water, it's the basis of life. Countless species and organisms depend on it to live, including you and me. Freshwater biomes supply us with our drinking water, among many other things, and there are around 700 species of fish that live in these freshwater biomes. So it's safe to say these biomes are pretty important.
Among all the things that freshwater biomes are great for, they're also a great place for animals to call home. The water is free from all the salt that other waters contain, so you can imagine all the animals that live here. Examples of animals are frogs, mosquitoes, turtles, raccoons, shrimps, crabs, tadpoles, and snakes. Animals specifically on land are very dependent of the stream and the water to supply their waters. As for plants and grass, seed is most commonly found here.
Now, an ecosystem is not just composed of biotic factors. However, it also has abiotic factors that all together make up the ecosystem, which in this case would include physical factors and chemical factors as well. In the physical, you have things like the depth of the water, the amount of sunlight, and the amount of precipitation the water is subject to. Chemical factors, on the other hand, being factors like the pH level of the water or the water pollutants that are in the water, there are still many other factors like the geographic location and temperature, and there are much more factors that you can analyze in this biome.
I think that's enough background information for all of you to understand. But now let's get back to what this commercial is really about. Now we know freshwater biomes are so important to us and all the organisms around us. Yet there are major problems occurring right now that are damaging these waters and the animals within it. This problem is called agricultural runoff.
What is this exactly? Well, this whole problem begins with agricultural factories, more specifically their waste that is dropped right into the freshwater biomes. Because of this mismanagement of factories and other agricultural companies that we see so often, there is runoff adding to these waters' toxicity, finally leading to fast-spreading algae to overtake this whole biome. But we don't want to get too into that right now. Instead, let's take a moment to think about the future effect of this problem, since it's already affecting so much today.
That is something really important to think about, since over time, freshwater ecosystems near factories would slowly disappear and the organisms in them as well. The little amount of clean water there is in the world would slowly begin to go away when, because of all the overpopulation going on in the world, clean, non-toxic water is needed the most. It's awful because there are so many cycles and processes that occur naturally that are also affected. For example, the biochemical cycles. Does anyone know what they are? Because they're really important as well.
I do.
It is the movement of elements like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon through the environment and through organisms themselves. Bio, which is organisms, geological processes, chemical processes. Now, why is this so important, you may ask? Well, because this agricultural runoff also affects the biogeochemical processes in the water, especially the nitrogen and the phosphorus cycles. It's really sad, actually. The phosphorus cycle, which describes the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere, and nitrogen cycle are disrupted, since fertilizers and hog waste are high in phosphorus and nitrogen, which then makes its way into the soil, which then through runoff makes its way to the water, causing lots of different troubles.
Oh, but that causes a whole different problem now, doesn't it? Algae blooms. Oh yes, I remember now. Algae blooms or water blooms are a very rapid increase in the population and amount of algae in aquatic freshwater ecosystems because of the increase of phosphorus or nitrogen in the water.
Oh God, it's true. And as more and more algae grow, others that are in the freshwater biomes die. Algae blooms cause deterioration of the quality of the water and immense increase in mortality rates of the animals and all the life that there is in the biome. When there is no more excess phosphorus in the water, all the algae begin to die. And bacteria that act as decomposers begin to decompose all of that excess algae that has died, which of course requires a lot of oxygen. Oxygen that is taken from the water and animals themselves. Because of this decrease of dissolved oxygen in the water, obviously many fish and aquatic insects begin to die. And so all your beautiful lake and all of your beautiful freshwater biome becomes a complete dead zone.
We really need to do something about these algae blooms and everything really included in this initial cause of agricultural runoff. It's all one big cycle of trouble. The fresh water ends up losing its freshness. Algae blooms expand rapidly all through its biomes, destroying everything as they go.
a solution, something that both you and I can do. And we believe that it's our duty to tell you what this is. So what's the first problem to be addressed? Agricultural runoff. So what is being done?
Nutrient management. Applying the right amount of fertilizers at the right time of the year can reduce the potential of pollution runoff.
Cover crops. Planting certain types of grasses such as grains or clovers can help nutrients out of the water by recycling excess nitrogen and reducing soil erosion.
Buffers. Planting certain trees, bushes, and grass around the fields and near the water can help neutralize the pH of the water by absorbing or filtering out nutrients before they reach the body of water.
Managing livestock waste. Keeping animals and animal waste out of the bodies of water keeps nitrogen and phosphorus out of the water banks.
Drainage water management. Reducing nutrient loading that drain from the agricultural field help prevent degradation of the water in local streams and lakes. There are many laws according to the EPA. There are many laws that regulate livestock, poultry and aquaculture, crop production, provision of drinking water, farm facilities, fuel and equipment, buildings, construction, wastes, air releases, and chemical buildings. So many.
Now these are all things that are being done to stop the agricultural runoff from entering the bodies of water, which if you think of it can be like the first domino to drop that causes all the rest of the problems, because after all the algae blooms do form because of a result of many other problems that occur.
For the algae blooms, what is being done? Well, simple. There are various different processes, but the main idea of all of these is to get rid of the trouble the algae blooms have caused. To begin with, there are many techniques to get rid of the algae bloom, but what is being done is the most damage control to repair all the organisms that have been affected.
FSW, floating treatment wetlands. Emergent wetland plants growing up floating out to the water surface. The roots of the plants provide enough surface or area to filter and trap nutrients that algae needs. The covered surface area minimizes light penetration and limits the opportunity for the growth of the algae to even begin.
Hypolimnictic oxygenation. To increase the amount of oxygen in the water so that fish and other animals can live, mechanisms include submerged oxygen chambers, side stream oxygenation, and then the direct injection of oxygen.
All of these procedures are done to increase the quality of life of the organisms and even our own life too. So it's only fitting that we try to help, but what exactly can we do? Well, for one, we can all be more aware. So be more aware, especially those of you that are farmers. Be more aware of what nutrients and what fertilizers you're putting into your plants, because you never know if or how that might end up as runoff into our water supply. Be more aware if you see algae blooms in your lake that may be by your house, maybe by wherever you're living, and you see a whole bunch of dead fish. Be aware of what's happening and spread the word.
Even though there is a lot of science being applied to these situations and scientific techniques that have been seen efficient in helping the problem, there are several factors that limit the effectiveness of these solutions. Specifically, let's talk about two.
Firstly, we have an economic impact. The algae blooms are primarily grown and formed because of the runoff that enters the bodies of water in the first place. That comes from the agricultural runoff, from the agricultural places that there are. And the several techniques that have been discovered to remove algae blooms from this water is very expensive, meaning it cannot remove all of the algae bloom and it might only be able to remove a part of it, maybe not enough of it. So putting more money into the clearing of algae blooms is the first step that we could take. But wouldn't we be taking away money from somewhere else? So think about it. It's a good thing. On one side, it's a pro because we are getting more of the algae bloom cleared out. But on the other side, it's very expensive and we'd be taking more money and more money and more money for something that is going to keep forming unless we do a different change.
Secondly, let's see an environmental impact. The agricultural runoff and algae bloom have a clear impact on ecosystems and the environment that organisms enjoy so much. Their habitats are being overtaken by algae blooms that limit their oxygen available in the water and remove the freshness that it has. It is very important that we pay much attention to the damage that we do to agricultural factories because it ends up really hurting the environments around us.
And even though we have solutions like we mentioned, there is a limit to how much of the problem we are actually solving. It would be very expensive to get rid of the fertilizers that are used in commerce farming, the science that it takes to experiment neutralize pesticides, also planting certain plants that can absorb the nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen and fertilizers, before it gets to the fresh water, which avoids or prevents the algae blooms would cost the government a lot of money as well.
Don't get us wrong. It is very important that we pay attention to these solutions and continue to use them to the best of our abilities. Because in the end, science helps us face the issues the freshwater biomes face, and we can leave it up to scientists knowing that we are doing the best we can.
And everybody is affected by the worsening condition of our freshwater biomes. By cleaning up the algae blooms, by protecting our waterways, using science, using all the methods that we spoke about, we can make a really big impact. This has social impacts as there are starting to be water issues around the world, such as in places like Cape Town. If we lose our water, then this will have a very big negative impact on society, and it will show clearly on everyone.
So, going back to the beginning of this commercial, we spoke about how important freshwater biomes were, not only to our lives, but for the lives of other organisms around us. Now do you understand why it's so important for us to take care of them?
Why it's important to know what they're going through all the time.
Why it's important for us to do our best to help?
It's clear to me.
And now it must be clear to you.
I'm Natalie.
I'm Camila.
And that's all about freshwater biomes. Finally, it's over. God, that took forever.